Hey, in this video, I'm going to walk through my Bonefish Bay 17. I bought this boat from Tarpon Boatworks, and they're a custom builder in Cape Coral, Florida. This is a 2026 model. I'm just about to put 20 hours on the engine, so it needs to go in for service. So I thought this would be a good time to do a walkthrough, kind of show what I have on this boat right now, including some of the riggings that I've done, what's working and what is not. And there's definitely some that I've made a mistake on. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to talk about my experience purchasing this boat from Tarpon Boatworks. It was really unique, and I just wanted to share that story with people. Here's my Bonefish Bay 17. Let's quick run down the dimensions. So this boat is 16 feet 9 inches long. It's 6 feet 3 inches wide. The published draft is 4 inches. I'm going to do an actual performance test on that once I get the boat back from service. I'll do some studies on what I'm getting for speed, economy, and then also what I'm drafting in a follow-up video to this one. This boat holds 11 gallons of gas, and it comes in at 750 pounds. All right, let's start with the bow, and I'll work my way back. So up here I've got a casting platform and a 12-volt Minnkota. With this boat at 750 pounds, that Minnkota will push this boat all day long. I'm really impressed with it. It's a small boat. The Minnkota came with a small remote that I'm still getting a little bit used to, but this is working just great for me. The Minnkota's flawless. So I just today installed these ram tubes right here as rod holders, and they did not work as I was hoping. You'll see from this clip. Well, I definitely got some work to do on my ram mounts. What a freaking disaster. Hey, but I did land the fish. All right, we got gas fill right there. I've got a nice big locker up front here, which is huge. It goes all the way back, and this is lighted when you turn the interior lights on. A modification that I made that I'm in love with is the SeaSucker. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know that I absolutely love SeaSucker. I just think they're a great product. I've had them on my Robalo for a couple years now, and I just absolutely love them. No holes in the boat. I can take them with me if I want to. And these are doing really, really good. And I think these will serve as kind of my bow rod holders. All right, let me work my way back here. I installed, this is another SeaSucker product. This is a Pro Tool holder that I have, and you can see it just has slots and holes for absolutely everything. And I'm using this thing nonstop, and I absolutely love where it is. It's completely out of the way. I've never bumped into it or knocked anything off of it. It's a really quality product, and it's working great right there. We're going to install some cup holders right here when it goes into the shop here next week. And then on the sides here, I've got room for multiple rods. You can see I've got an 8-foot spike, so when I have my power pole down, I'm able to keep the boat from swinging. And I've got a couple rods. I could put more there if I wanted to. And I've got rod storage here that I'm not even using. Here's my plug-in for my battery charger. I've got a 2-bank battery charger, so both the trolling motor battery and the starter battery gets charged. Let's take a look at the console. So the brains of the operation, I've got a Simrad NSS Evo. This is 9 inches. There's some other videos on my channel you'll see where I talk about the chip I have here. I'll put the full name of this chip that I'm using here, right here. It's just not coming to me right now. All right, this is a mount that I had for an iPad. Watch this clip again. Some things work better than others. And down here, I've got controls for my power pole. I've got my trim tabs right here. And then down here, I've got my kill switch and my ignition switch. Underneath my seat here, I've got 4 switches. There's interior lights, there's navigational lights, and then anchor light, and then one is open. I don't know, I might add a spreader light later. This is a phone charger. And then I've got another huge compartment here. And on the side here, a boga grip holder that I installed. This is working great. This is suction cupped as well, and it's holding on. I'm surprised. And then I can't get enough SeaSuckers, so I put another one right here, and that's working well. All right, let's go to the back. I've got a 40-horse Merc on here. They've just started to put 40s on. They previously had 30s on the tiller model, and now that they've got this console put on, they're putting 40s on. So this is one of the first boats, I believe, that had this console, and as far as I'm concerned, the design is flawless. I love where all the angles are. It's really working well for me. Super fancy cup holder here. I think this cost me like $6. And then I've installed 2 rams on the back for rod holder, rod storage. I think they're going to be storage given my performance that I experienced today. And then there's 2 welded on rod holders in the back. So again, for storage. And then I've got this nice big tall poling platform here. I got to pull back at the dock, but This is a nice big poling platform. You can see absolutely everything from up there, and there's my anchor light. All right, so that's my skiff. Let me talk about my purchasing experience as I promised. So the purchase of this boat really started with kayaks. There's some people in our local club that are just crushing it on kayaks, and I have a 26-foot bay boat. I can't get where those boats go, and I really wanted to expand my ability to get shallow. And so I started looking at kayaks, and for obvious reasons, I declined that as an option. And so I started to think about, what if I got a smaller skiff, a skiff that fishes like a kayak, which brought me to a poling skiff. The Bonefish Bay 17 was perfect for me, namely because it's got a smaller horsepower, 750 pounds, and it has an incredibly low draft. So in my mind, this was a skiff that fishes like a kayak. Perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. So I reached out to the dealer, and Andy, the owner, actually called me right back and said, hey, why don't you come up and just take a look? So I did that. I just drove up right away and took a look, and they happened to be building one of their flagship boats, the Tarpon Bay 19. They didn't have a Bonefish Bay for me to even look at, and I realized how small they are. And my first impression was, these are craftsmen. Everybody stopped what they were doing when I walked into the shop. They don't have a showroom. They have a workshop. And when I walked into that, everybody stopped and introduced themselves and talked a little bit about why they took so much pride in what they were building at Tarpon Boatworks. Really impressed me. So a week later, their demo boat came back from Key West. And I drove up, took a look at that, sat in it, and got a good impression. And I remember Andy saying something to the effect of, well, what do you think? And I said, well, I absolutely love it. This is exactly what I want. But I said, hey, I have to test ride it. I can't commit to buying a boat without a test ride. And he said, no test rides. Let's go fishing. I was like, that is so cool. So literally a few days later, we were out on the water in this demo boat, and Andy just showed me how everything worked. We sat and we fished. We caught a bunch of fish that day. I remember I caught like a 24-inch snook, and I turned to him and I said, hey, I'm buying this boat. It was just a joke. I had made up my mind about when we left the landing that this was the right boat for me, but it was so interesting to be on a boat that the boat designer and owner of the company was able to show everything they did. And he talked about some of the things they changed, some of the things that they're thinking about changing. After I went fishing with Andy, I wrote him back and said, all right, my mind's made up. Let's spec something out and let's go through all the options. So he sent me a spec list and we went through it all. I had a lot of questions. So really the only additions I put on was I went from a 30 horse Merc to a 40. I put this power pole blade on, which is absolutely incredible, this micro blade. And then I went with the Simrad 9-inch instead of the Garmin. And then one last thing I'll give you as a nice surprise that I had with Tarpon Boatworks is I put a down payment on it. Andy said, here's the date you're gonna get the boat. And I'm thinking, this is a custom build boat. There's no way. And I remember telling him, hey, take your time. I'm not in a big rush. It's the heat of summer. And he's like, no, that's exactly when you want a skiff. I'm starting to learn why. But to get to the surprise, it literally came on the day he said it would. So props to those guys for delivering on time. I'm super happy with it. It's gonna go back for 20-hour service. The only thing we're gonna add is this cup holder on the side. We're gonna do the normal 20-hour maintenance. We might play around with a different prop, but I'm pretty happy with the performance I'm getting right now. All right, well, that's my Bonefish Bay 17 2026. Please throw in the comments any questions you'll have on it, but you'll see this boat a lot on my channel. If I make any modifications to it, I'll try to point those out in future videos. Hey, hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Catch you later.